Radio Wiltshire.
Yeah, with the election next week, all the way up until polling day, we're going to be continuing to hear from you about some of the big issues you want sorted by our politicians. It is your voice, your votes. Well, Donald O'Neill got in touch with us. He's particularly concerned about hospice funding, especially at Swindon's Prospect Hospice. The reason was, sadly, his daughter died there in March.
Emma had a brain tumour since 2015, and obviously we thought everything was going well until just after Christmas, and then the tumour became active again. Emma was living in Hayes in Middlesex at the time with her partner, but because she became unwell, she came to live with us in Swindon. We kept her at home here in West Swindon with us until she became again even more progressively worse. And then that's when we made contact with Prospect Hospice, and they were just absolutely fantastic people. They came out to our house on the Saturday, the 9th, and really helped us to get control of the situation again. As much as we wanted to keep Emma here at home, it became obvious that we couldn't do so. We took Emma to the hospice where she was for some 2 weeks before she died. But the Prospect Hospice will remain with us forever because of the care that they have, the love they gave Emma, and treated Emma as a person rather than just another number or a patient, but also treated us as well. From the minute we arrived there, we were just relaxed knowing that she was in the best place. I said it at a meeting in the hospice a couple of weeks back that now we have this general election going on. Maybe if we get these politicians to fund these places, because they could also help by, they've got room, they've got 12 beds at the Prospect Hospice, but they can't open them all at the moment because of lack of funding. If those beds were all open, it could take pressure off of the hospitals, take pressure off the NHS. So
Donald O'Neill telling us his story about why he loves what the Prospect Hospice does so very much. Chief Exec of the Hospice, Jeremy Lune, with us. Good morning, Jeremy.
Good morning.
I know you're sort of running the place and have got a lot of issues to think about, but just the individual stories like that must continually leave their mark on you as a human being.
They do, yes. I had the privilege of getting to know Emma's family for the time that she was at Prospect, and fundamentally, they inspire me to do my job and get up and do the very, very best I can for Prospect every morning. They're incredible people, and we're grateful that they've chosen to be so open about what is a very difficult situation for them.
Yeah, thoughts with Donald and your family, Donald, this morning. Thank you for sharing your story with us so openly. 12 beds you got now then, Jeremy. How does that fit in with where you've been and hopefully where you're going in terms of the number of beds you're able to keep open?
Well, at the moment, we can only open 6. We opened 2 more before winter. We were talking to the NHS. That was a stretch anyway, but we were hoping there would be some winter pressure funding coming that would help us keep them open. We had a Christmas appeal and the public very generously funded 2 months of those beds. We didn't get a penny from the winter funding, so sadly, in March we had to close 2 beds. We're down to 6. The optimum is between 10 and 12. And as Donald said, that would take so much pressure off the bricks and mortar of the NHS, the beds in the corridors, the ambulance queues, the GP appointments that we're all waiting for. We do have a secondary benefit by taking pressure off those things.
So the hard fact in terms of government funding, how much do you get?
In total, for our core services and a couple of specialist services, we get 1.7 million in total.
And then voluntary raise money coming in adds to that to the tune of?
That is basically the other kind of £6 million all comes from the public, basically. So we get more money from our charity shops than we do from the government.
Looking at the major political parties' statements and vision about what hospices mean. I mean, the Lib Dems, the only party in the manifestos that actually explicitly mention funding. Labour, no mention of hospices whatsoever. The Conservative manifesto saying debates on assisted dying should never distract from the importance of delivering high-quality palliative care services and will continue to support children and adults' hospices. The Lib Dems saying we want to provide a fair funding deal, recognising the valuable services they provide and saving money on hospital admissions. It's all quite woolly.
It is, and as you say, the Lib Dems are the only part of the major parties that make an explicit reference to it. which to me is quite strange when you think how fundamentally important palliative and end-of-life care is, something that one day will impact every single person in the country, and the need for support and services with an ageing population is we can say with certainty it's going to increase dramatically in the coming years. So who's going to pay for it?
I mean, the polls certainly suggest that Labour in the box seat for 10 or 11 days' time when the nation decides. I know the polls can get things wrong, but that's certainly the direction of travel. Are you worried that there's no mention from Labour at all, or do you think that might just be an oversight with other priorities?
Yeah, well, I'm going to stay on the optimistic side and hope that whoever gets in, because obviously with some of the manifestos, as many people have said, they can be a little bit woolly, I suppose, so open to interpretation. And I would hope that whoever gets in does really focus on this, and I would encourage that anyone who's got an interest in palliative and end-of-life care for the next week or two, potential MPs are going to be interested in your points of view like at no other time. So if you do care about it, please speak to them about the importance of this.
Is that a positive for you that the nation, or certainly, like we're doing now, the conversation started? At least, because we're very British. We don't like talking about that end of things, do we? It's not going to happen to us, but it seems like now we are actually being grown-ups about this. And I'm sorry, folks, but it's going to get us all. We're going to go some way.
Absolutely, and I think that's evolved in the last couple of generations, where we do, to a degree, look the other way in that very British way, as you say. So I think it is healthy, and the more we talk about these things, you'll never take away the pain, the fear, the loss. But the more we talk about these things, it does ease things. And so, yes, this is very healthy. And we're grateful for people like yourselves giving us the platform to start the discussion.
Always our pleasure. Thank you, Jeremy, for coming in. Jeremy Lune, all because we're hopefully getting to the big issues that you've got in Your Voice, Your Vote. That's what we're doing this time round for this general election. What is it in your family that really worries you, troubles you, inspires you? What do you want to know from the big politicians and the decision makers for this country ahead of the general election? We're putting your questions to the people in things like our visualised debate that we had with Dan O'Brien recently, of course. Get onto the BBC Wiltshire website and click the links to all our election coverage here this morning, or maybe later when you're sitting down with a cup of tea.